CRAF, the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, is committed to provide these resources, founded on an agreement between U.S. Airlines and the U.S. government. Shortly thereafter, a joint agreement was reached between U.S. Airlines and the U.S. government. Resources of the commercial air carriers were to be made available to the Air Force in the event of a national emergency. In 1952, the Civil Reserve Air Fleet was organized. Composed of both air carriers and their support personnel, its purpose was to establish a partnership between the civilian air transportation industry and the military. Today, the Civil Reserve Air Fleet consists of more than 400 aircraft and thousands of support personnel organized into 4 operational segments: International Long Range, International Short Range, Domestic, and Alaskan. The International Long Range Fleet is made up of aircraft capable of transoceanic operations. This fleet will augment military aircraft when an emergency arises. The International Short Range Fleet consists of both cargo aircraft and medium-range passenger aircraft, which can be converted to cargo aircraft to augment airlift forces. The domestic fleet includes short and medium-range cargo aircraft, which provide logistic support for the Air Force and the Navy in the continental United States. The aircraft of the Alaskan fleet provide airlift in support of the Alaskan Air Command and the distant early warning line of the North American Air Defense Command. The CRAF airlift capability can be activated in 3 stages. Stage 1 is an expansion of airlift capability whereby civilian aircraft can be used to perform additional airlift services, which the MAC airlift force cannot meet. It is activated by the Commander-in-Chief of MAC. Stage 2 is an additional airlift expansion identified for an airlift emergency not warranting national mobilization. It is authorized by the Secretary of Defense. Stage 3 can be activated only after a national emergency has been declared, normally by the President or Congress. This action results in the total CRAF airlift capability being made available during major emergencies. Stage 3 will result in approximately 300 international long-range civilian aircraft being made available to the government within 48 hours notification. The 3 stages of activation provide flexibility to the total airlift force by permitting the use of all or just part of the Civil Reserve Air Fleet. Participation in the CRAF program is encouraged by awarding DoD peacetime airlift contracts to U.S. certified airlines, which operate aircraft suitable to military requirements. The success of the civil-military partnership was demonstrated by the airline industry's contribution during the Vietnam conflict. U.S. civil aircraft and crews airlifted military personnel and equipment directly into Vietnam from all parts of the U.S. Civilian airline personnel worked alongside their military counterparts to provide a vital continuous flow of support over a 10,000-mile pipeline. In Cambodia, during the siege of Phnom Penh, civil aircraft came under hostile fire during the front lower lobe and center lower lobe doors are 104 inches wide. This aircraft is thus capable of accepting a baggage pallet, but only with the 88-inch wide side of the pallet going through the door. The need for special MHE is seen in that a K-loader platform is too wide to move through the door opening to the floor of the lower lobes of civil aircraft. For many DC-10s and L-1011s and all narrow-body aircraft, the lower lobe or compartment door is too narrow to permit the loading of baggage pallets. A disadvantage of baggage pallets is that even if they do fit into the lower lobe, they do not fully use the space available. The use of commercial baggage containers is, of course, an option. Commercial containers make full use of the available space in the lower baggage areas. These containers require specialized materials handling equipment, MHE, for loading and offloading. However, these containers and the MHE are not usually available at military locations. A method of loading baggage that is adaptable to any civil aircraft is hand-loading the baggage. Using flatbed trucks and loading teams, an aircraft can be loaded well within standard ground times. The troops being transported can augment the loading crew. Civil aircraft are able to transport cargo, such as the lighter, more bulky cargo associated with unit deployments. One typical B-747 can airlift 4 C-141B loads of loading civil aircraft present unique problems. Fortunately, narrow-body DC-8s and B-707s can be loaded with standard K-loaders and, if necessary, forklifts. Wide-bodied aircraft with their 16 to 17-foot high decks require some type of high-lift loader. One method is the use of a Cochrane elevator loader. With ramps installed, the loader can lift vehicles from ground level to the main deck. Another method is by using a K-loader bed adapter. The use of this adapter extends the height capability of the standard K-loader to make it compatible with wide-bodied height requirements. A method of lifting cargo up to the top of the adapter is required. At some loading locations, standard commercial elevators or loaders may be available. Loading of a 747 can either be accomplished through the nose door or the side door, depending on the series and design of the 747. Either one or both of these doors may be available. The methodology of loading the 747 will vary by the type of load. One method of loading rolling stock is by using a transfer pallet. Once the vehicle has been reduced to the air transportable configuration, it's driven onto a Cochrane loader, which contains a double-married 463L transfer pallet. The Cochrane loader then lifts the palletized vehicle to the main deck of the aircraft. The transfer pallet may be pushed or moved into the aircraft by a power roller system built into the floor of the aircraft. With side door loading, the vehicle and transfer pallets are spun on the floor rollers. Once the vehicle is in line with the fuselage, the vehicle is moved to the palletized subfloor. The vehicle is then driven, or in the case of trailers, pushed into the final loading position. Care should be taken to avoid placing excessive weight in the rear of the aircraft, which would cause the aircraft to settle on its tail. The front lower lobe should be loaded during the beginning stages of the loading process. Loading through the nose door is basically the same, except that the vehicle can be driven or pushed directly into the cargo area without the need for realignment. Many other types of equipment can be loaded into the 747, including gamma goats, trailers, jeeps, and even helicopters, which can be loaded through the nose door. The 747 also has a lower lobe capability for up to 9 standard military pallets. All equipment is normally palletized for the lower lobe and can be loaded either by K-loader or forklift. The DC-10 can also be loaded with a large variety of military equipment. The loading procedures are essentially the same as for the side door loading of the 747. Narrow-body aircraft are also an integral part of the craft cargo airlift resource. Standard K-loaders and forklifts can be used to load a large variety of equipment on these type aircraft. Normally, equipment loaded onto a narrow-body fits onto a single 463L military pallet. Loads may include compressor and oxygen cart, hydraulic test equipment, heater, and similar equipment. However, jeeps and quarter-ton trailers also make excellent loads for narrow-body aircraft. For cargo carrying or passenger transport, the civil aircraft is an added resource that can be of immense value to the active duty forces of the Military Airlift Command in time of national emergency. Altogether, civil aircraft provide about 50% of max total strategic wartime airlift capability. CRAF, the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, stands ready to join the military when called upon to serve our nation's need.